Cancer, it's September 2020. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au. Welcome to those of you that are new. Sorry I haven't been around for about a month with the death of my mother. I'm back on board now and ready to tackle your horoscope here, which this month is a very, very important one, especially given that your ruling planet, well, we call it a planet, the moon, enters its full moon phase there on the 2nd, the 9th house. 9th house and very near to Neptune, the idealistic planet, which rules that 9th house. So very, very important spiritual connotations to this. The full moon and also Sun and Mercury in your 3rd house casting their aspect on that area. I want you to keep your eye on this. A little bit premature, but the circle's moving pretty quickly this month. You'll see that Mars, which is really your best planet, your career planet, and also the ruler of your 5th house of creativity, moves into a retrograde motion. But first, a word from our sponsor. No, just joking. Mercury moves into the sign of Libra on the 6th there, and at the same time, the movement of Venus into the 2nd house of finance. Property matters are ruled by the 4th house. Finances are ruled by the 2nd house. And so these two things are very strongly tied in, as you can see here, from what we call the sextile aspect, the 60-degree aspect, in which those two planets work very, very nicely together. You see the low-key moon transit in this 12th house of your horoscope. You may be feeling a little bit under the weather, a little bit, lacking in, power and motivation. That also happens at the same time that, as I mentioned earlier, on the 11th, the planet Mars moves into its retrograde motion. Now that's an important one. Generally, my view is that the retrograde planets, if they're friendly planets to your ascendant, and this is the best planet for you, the friendly planets actually are empowered to do greater good for you. Nevertheless, we still have to look at how those retrograde planets play out, because it shows us that you may have to go over old ground. There may be some professional activities or information you're about to act on it. You may have already acted upon that, but now may have to backtrack. We see also these red lines that you see forming as the planets move around the circle are what we call the hard aspects, the right angles, and they are very, very challenging aspects. You notice that those challenges take place here from the 7th house of your marriage, public relations, the general public as a whole. So you may have some difficulties in that area of your life. The 17th is the new moon here. And again, we talked about the full moon starting the month off here in the 9th house. Here the new moon is in the 3rd house. That 3rd house has everything to do with the mentality, your thinking, education, learning, short journeys. So that is a very powerful activation, and shows us that perhaps while this planet of career is doing its retrograde motion, you may have an opportunity there to re-educate yourself, learn some new skills. Also, that's shown by the immediate transit of the moon over Mercury in the 4th house. Some Indian astrologers are of the opinion that the 4th house is the educational house. Some are of the opinion that the 5th house, a lot of argumentations, a lot of debate. But I would say, in any case, the new moon there in the 3rd house, moving in the 4th, and then the creative 5th is definitely related to the element of learning and improving your mental horizons. The 24th is a very, very important transit. After the moon makes its way through this 6th house of health, and here a nervous sort of combination with the south node. You have to be a little bit careful, particularly because here, the good aspects again, these blue triangular aspects are what we call the triangular 120 degrees and 60 sextile aspects are very good indeed. 25th, 24th, we see Mercury opposite to Neptune. Well, I'm saying that 24th Mercury, yeah, this one here, we've missed it again. But the Sun has moved into that opposition. You will have some confusion. Again, that has to do with your education, thinking a little more carefully about what you want to do and basing that on your passion rather than the buck. Even though you've got some good finances there, as we said earlier, with that movement of Venus in that second house of Leo. The 24th, I've mentioned that opposition. Then the last one there is that transit of Mercury here into the 5th house, the secretive sign of Scorpio, which shows that you may be a little bit speculative, researching some things that can give you the edge financially. Be a little bit careful, take some cautionary measures there. Mercury is not particularly favourable to your ascendant, and as you can see that it rules this 12th house of expense and generosity, moving into the 5th house of speculation. Don't be crazy, especially with retrograde Mars. It's a powerful month for you, and I think overall you're going to have some very positive influences in your work, even though you may have to go back over some old things. Cancer, you may need to ratify some agreements, as we saw from the 7th house, but all in all, it's a good month with some positive gains for you. Check out what else I've written for you for this month at astrology.com.au. We have daily, weekly, monthly, and the full yearly reading there, so you can contextualize everything. Drop me a message here if it's something personal. If you want a more personal reading, I'm more than happy to engage you with that, and subscribe. Please subscribe. And of course, I'll see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye for now.